Hey friends, welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is Paul, and on this channel I like to go over things that I'm curious about and things that I have looked into a little bit. With today's video, I wanted to talk about the title kind of being know the game before you play it. You could also say like know the rules before you start playing the game. And I was thinking about this today, and this is kind of just in reference to every single area of life. I kind of view it as a game. And if you don't know the rules of the game, you are bound to get beat, or you're bound at least to not make progress within that game, though it may seem like you're making progress. And I want to give a couple examples of what I mean here with like a couple areas of life, and maybe you will understand what I'm saying, and hopefully this will inspire you to look a little bit deeper into these individual categories and whatever other categories interest you in terms of this game that we're playing called life, with its various aspects. So the first one being finances. This is a conversation that I have with my dad quite a bit because we talked about the differences in the advantages and disadvantages being an entrepreneur versus being an employee versus being an investor, etc. What are the different tax laws that you're going to be adhering to based off whatever category you're in? And is it advantageous to be in one group over the other with how our tax laws are currently set up? Not only do we have to understand tax laws to understand the money game, and if we ever want to get financially free and are ever wanting to be independent and not having to work for the rest of our lives, but I would also say if you want to truly be free, you have to understand how the whole machine works. So understanding, like, you don't have to know every nuance, but understanding the macro economy in the sense of what is fiat currency compared to money? Is there a difference? Okay, these dollars that we have now, why is it such a big deal that it says Federal Reserve note at the top and not United States dollar? Okay, like what's the difference between that going on? Why did it matter when we got taken off the gold standard? What's up with these cryptocurrencies? How are they going to influence the future? What does it mean that it's a decentralized currency, etc., etc., etc. So these are questions that are important to ask. So to understand how the whole game is playing out, okay, and how to stay free, or the freest possible, or the most sovereign, the most independent within this game of money. Most people are only thinking, I want a job. That's seriously the extent that most people think in terms of money. How much does it pay me per hour? And is it full-time or part-time? How many hours do I get? Do I get any bonuses? That is most of the time the extent of what people think in terms of finances. But there are levels to the game, and if you want a certain result, you have to understand, if you want to win, I should say, you have to understand the levels to the game and the rules of the game, okay? Let's talk about another one. The area of life that we call learning anything new. So often people think that they are or are not something, that they are good at this, that they aren't good at this, that they can learn this, that they can't learn that, etc. What this immediately does when we are putting ourselves in this box, this is called limiting our learning, or I just called it that. Limiting our learning. It's where you identify with certain aspects in the world and you don't identify with others in terms of being able to learn them, being able to be good at a certain skill. If you don't ever figure out how to learn, and that might sound weird if you've never thought of this, but how to learn anything, not, oh, I'm a math person, so I'll learn physics, mathematics, etc. But that English and that history stuff I just won't do. Or if you say, oh, like I'm an English person, I could never learn mathematics, the sciences, whatnot. You are severely limiting yourself from understanding the way the world works. And so by not asking, how can I figure this thing out? How can this brain that's meant to solve patterns or see patterns, how can it identify, okay, I'm an English person, I identify certain patterns within this story. How can I just look to identify certain patterns in mathematics? How can I look to identify certain patterns of human behavior from studying psychology? Everything is patterns. Languages. How can I understand the pattern within this given language? Once I know the vocab, what's the pattern that's there? Everything's just patterns. Our brain is meant to understand patterns. And so understanding how to learn, understanding how to use your brain to progress in life, if you don't understand how to do that, you will plateau very, very quickly. You will reach your peak, okay? So that's another type of game that we are all caught up in, and that a lot of people limit themselves and they just lose that game because they don't use their brain fully compared to what it could do. What would be another one? Another one would be not understanding how to achieve a goal and not understanding how your brain works in reference to motivation, in reference to laziness, in reference to procrastination. If you don't understand your triggers, if you don't understand your values, this is going to be something where you won't understand the rules of the, let's say, game of progression, the game of moving forward. So before we just talked about learning, now this is just moving forward in life with the things that you want to do. There are some people in life who have been stuck at the same exact level for years. They can't get past it. Why? Because of everything in their head. It's everything that they're telling them. It's everything that's going on in their head. They don't know how to get past what's going on up here. They're stuck in the game. They don't know how to win at the game of progression because they don't know how to overcome fear. They don't know how to overcome laziness. They don't know how to overcome procrastination and give whatever other reasons you want. If you don't understand your brain and you don't understand the values that you have, you don't understand why it goes into the certain modes that it does. Okay? Why do we enter fight or flight? Why do we have anxiety? Why do we have fear? Why do we have passion? Asking yourself, where do these emotions come from? What are my values? And does it have to do with my emotions when I'm experiencing different things? Understanding how your brain works in different scenarios in relation to different ideas, that's another game that we don't think about. What about the game of health? So many people, I've tried dieting, I've tried working out, nothing seems to work. Okay? Understanding sleep being a big part of it. Breathing being a big part of health. If you don't understand your autonomic nervous system and your level of arousal, you'll always be elevated with certain things. If you don't understand that your gut has a lot to do with the health of your body, so you may have other sicknesses going on, but maybe it's all starting in your gut, and maybe what's going on in your gut is related back to stuff going on in your head with trauma, which is constantly keeping you aroused and whatnot. Food, physical movement, these are just parts of the game, but they are not the whole game when it comes to health. A lot of people are fit, but they're not healthy. A lot of people are very strong, but they're not healthy. There are levels to this health game. The body was meant to heal. I don't get why this is not more well understood. We understand it if we get cut. If we get cut, okay, the cut heals. But for so many other things, we're like, oh, no, this is just the way it is. It's not the way it is. It's not the way it is. You've just lived with it. And you haven't you haven't solved for X in terms of understanding how to let your body heal itself, because you keep damaging itself based off what you're putting into it. Not getting enough sleep, not getting enough water, eating junk food, so many different things when it comes to health aspect. So regardless, that was 4 examples that we gave of asking questions, understanding what are the rules of this game, what are the parameters, what are the boundaries, what is this game that we call health, what is this game that we call financial freedom, what is this game that we call mental freedom, what is this game about being able to learn anything, and then fill in the blank for what is this game that you want to do. Everything is a game. And if you don't understand the macro of the game, the different moving parts, and then you just focus on one micro part of it, you will always have a misunderstanding of the micro part because you don't see how it fits within the bigger picture. The only way to win the game, the only way to progress, is to understand the macro and then work on the micro. You have to get the big picture, then go small, okay? Anyways, with that being said, let me know your thoughts on this video. Let me know your thoughts on just this idea of everything being a game, understanding the rules of the game before you get started, etc. So yeah, let me know if this is something that you thought of before or if this was a new idea for you. Let me know down in the comments below. With that being said, I will see you guys on the next one.